Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, the holiday continues here on this 3rd of July. Fans coming into beautiful Coors Field. It is unseasonably warm out here. This is where the Reds will play for the next 4 days. Reds and Rockies here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and a pleasant good evening, and welcome once again to Reds Baseball. Along with Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I am Jim Kelch. Well, the Reds start a 4-game series here, Chris, and the loss yesterday notwithstanding, got to feel pretty good about themselves after a 4-2 homestand.
Well, they play very well at home, very much like the Colorado Rockies. It seems like they're a different ball club when they get on the road, but they're being carried by some guys that are really swinging the bat well. Joey Votto, Player of the Week, 500 average, 3 home runs. Duvall on the homestand hit 3 home runs. He's actually having a better year this year than his all-star year last year. Scott Feldman carrying the load from the starting pitching standpoint, and the bullpen has been very good as well.
Well, the Reds, after the 4-2 homestand, will head on out to the road here. This is a 7-game trip that leads them into the All-Star break against the 2 teams that right now hold down the wild card spots in the National League.
Well, they're teams that can put some runs up on the board, I can tell you that, especially in their respective home ballparks. Colorado, you know it's always been a hitter's paradise here. They've had a rough time lately, the Rockies have, but they come back home and they think that they're going to get back into groove of things. They're getting a couple of guys back off the disabled list. Of course, Arizona is playing great baseball as well. Both of these teams are in contention, so they are playing to win these ball games, not develop players.
3rd start now for Luis Castillo. He'll be making one against the Colorado Ball Club and making one in this ballpark for the first time.
Well, he's had some really tough tests along the way. First the Nationals, then the Milwaukee Brewers. Really good hitting teams. Well, you know, he's really got his work cut out for him tonight because the Rockies at home at Coors Field, they really swing the bats. A typical swagger as they go up to the plate. But if his changeup is working the way it has been, he'll be just fine.
Now he'll face a Colorado team that year in, year out always puts up the very big numbers at home, not as good on the road, and this year no exception.
Well, Don Baylor once said when he was a manager here that here at Coors Field you're in scoring position when you're in the on-deck circle. And this Colorado Rocky team feels that way. They've got a deep lineup. They're getting exploits out of Mark Reynolds that they never ever thought they'd get this year. Plus, he's got a pretty good surrounding cast. Guys like Blackman and Nolan Arenado having really great years. This is a very tough lineup right now.
Well, we'll see how it goes tonight. First of a 4-game series, the Reds and the Rockies from Denver, Colorado. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jim Day talks about going to Miami. The Reds indeed have a couple of all-stars headed to the mid-season classic.
7 games before the All-Star break, first of 4 against the Rockies here in Denver. I'm Jim Day, and speaking of that All-Star break, Reds fans will get to enjoy Zach Cozart and Joey Votto in the All-Star lineups. In fact, kudos to you, Reds country, because you voted Zach Cozart into the starting lineup, his first ever All-Star appearance and the third Reds shortstop to earn the fan selection, joining Davey Concepcion and Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. Joey Votto, 5th trip to the Midsummer Classic, first since 2013. And Zach Cozart admitted that he didn't expect to win the vote.
I'm pretty surprised that I'm starting. I mean, that's just as good as it gets, I think. Making the team is always an individual goal that you go into the season. I don't have a lot of individual goals, but that's obviously one of them that's way up there. And so obviously starting is, that much better because the fans vote you in and they recognize what you've done out there. So it means a lot because I know Cincinnati was voting hard, and then I had to have some help outside of Cincy, and that happened.
I made the All-Star team 4 consecutive times, and I think after a while I took them for granted. I expected to be there, and it wasn't until I started taking a few years off of making a team that I realized, man, that's something that has a good deal of meaning, and something a player can be proud of, and an event that's amazingly run and exciting to be a part of.
And the competition at first base in the National League, I mean, those are some of the best players in all of baseball. For Joey Votto to be selected just shows you the outstanding season he continues to have. The Reds hope it continues tonight. Luis Castillo, the Rook, makes his 3rd big league start. Jim and Chris will have the call next.
Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Coors Field main entrance here in downtown Denver. They have a very good crowd on hand for this Monday, July 3rd game, as the Reds and the Rockies will meet for the next 4 days. Second series this year between these two teams, with the Rockies taking 2 out of 3 back in May at Great American Ballpark. Take a look now at the Reds starting lineup for this, the 82nd game of the year, brought to you by Menards. Peraza in the leadoff spot playing shortstop, then Jeanette, then Joey Votto, one of the 2 Reds All-Stars. Duvall, Suarez, and Schebler in the middle. Schebler's in center field today. Kivlahan in right, then Barnhart catches and Luis Castillo does the pitching and bats ninth. On the mound for Colorado is 24-year-old right-hander Jeff Hoffman.
Well, he was the prize piece in a trade that in 2015 at the trade deadline sent Troy Tulowitzki from Colorado north of the border to the Toronto Blue Jays. And in return, they got this #1 draft pick, Jeff Hoffman from upstate New York, a young man that's got a fastball that averages anywhere from 94 to 96 miles an hour. His best off-speed pitch is a curveball. He'll come right over the top with that. He'll also throw a changeup and a slider, but mostly it's fastball, curveball, and a guy that has been pretty consistent for the Rockies this year, except for one bad inning that he had a couple starts ago right here at this ballpark. But he's not an easy guy to decipher, especially when he gets his fastball command down.
Now you see that information right there, the 21st of June here against Arizona. 9 runs, 8 hits in 3 2/3. Other than that, this guy's been very good. Never faced the Reds before, so they see this 6'5", 225-pound right-hander for the first time. We're ready to go. 7 games left before the All-Star break for the Redlegs. Peraza against Hoffman. First pitch a strike, and this game is underway. Peraza playing shortstop with Zach Cozart sitting out today, but he expects to be in the lineup both tomorrow and on Wednesday night. Cozart played yesterday, went 1 for 4, and he has a schedule, as you've heard from Brian Price, laid out for him between now and the break. Towards center field, Blackman coming on. He's not going to get it, and that ball drops for a base hit. Good effort there by DJ LeMahieu, but Peraza floats it right in between the second baseman and the center fielder. Reds have the leadoff man on.
This may be the perfect place for Jose Peraza to play because outfielders have to play deep because the ball does carry. There's so much green between the infield and where the outfielders play. And how many times have we seen Jose Peraza break a bat, end of the bat, in on the thumbs, ends up with a base hit? I mean, it is, at first I thought it was luck. Now I'm thinking that it's part of his game.
You mentioned so much green. How much green is there here at this ballpark? There's more acreage here at Coors Field than there is in any other big league park. 2.66 acres of ground here at this ballpark. How does that compare to Great American? 2.41. The biggest acreage-wise ballpark in the big leagues right here.
Yeah, this is a doubles ballpark for a lot of reasons. Number one, you can hit them down the line, you can hit them in the gaps, and then you can hit them shallow and beat the guy to second base just because the outfielder can't get to the ball.
Scooter Gennett bats now with a leadoff man aboard. Scooter checks in at 302 with a dozen home runs. 42 runs batted in. Had a home run during the recent homestand. He's hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games. Peraza with the lead over there at first. Second on this Reds team in steals with 15, and he also comes in tied for 5th in the league with his 15 stolen bases.
Certainly looks like the Rockies are trying to stay away from the power of Scooter Gennett. Down and away, just pounding the low outside part of the strike zone.
Here's what he's done his last 10 games. Very impressive average-wise. Diving first baseman Reynolds cannot come up with that ball, and that's going to send Peraza to third. And a single to center, now a single to right, and the Reds have them at the corners with nobody out here in the first.
Peraza running on the pitch right here, so Reynolds pops off the bag but still is unable to get to that ball that rifled right by him. So could not begin to unfold any better for the Reds right here. Bloop single, ground ball single, and now you got Joey Votto hitting the ball as well as anybody on this ball club steps up to the plate.
Well, in fact, Votto today was named the National League Player of the Week for the good work that he turned in this past week. .524 average with 11 hits and 21 at bats with 3 homers and 6 RBIs. First time he had won the award in over 4 years.
can't really be an easy time for a hitter to see the ball right now. I mean, the hitter's in the shadows, the pitcher's in the sunlight. The sun is still high enough to give you pretty good light here. But still, when the clouds disappear, it presents a lot of contrast.
Votto starts the game now 6th in the league in hitting with that .317 average. His 23 homers, 2nd in the league. His 59 runs batted in, tied for 7th. Toward left field, playable for Tapia. He'll backpedal and make the catch. That'll get the first run of this game home, as touching the plate is Peraza. Votto with RBI number 60, and the Reds take a 1-0 lead, 3 batters in.
Nice to be able to get that run, and Votto almost a sure thing right there. Knew he was going to get something probably hard from Hoffman, and takes it the other way for an easy fly ball. The one thing, though, you learned on that play is that their left fielder, Ramel Tapia, has got a pretty good arm. He threw that ball all the way from the warning track right into second base on a fly.
So here's Duvall now with a runner at first and 1 man out. Another guy that's been swinging a pretty good bat. Duvall had 8 hits, 22 at bats during the recent homestand, and he's up to .284 with 19 long ones and 58 runs batted in. And there are many who say, and it's true, really, he's had a better first half this year than he did last year when he was an all-star.
Yeah, the problem, though, is from an all-star standpoint is that there's other players on the team that are having good years. When he went last year in the first half, remember how Joey Votto struggled mightily the first few months of the year, took him out of contention. There was no Zach Cozart playing the way he did last year. So, you know, the obvious all-star on the ball club was Duvall. Right now, he's just an easy guy to overlook.
Duvall right now at .284. His on-base percentage is .330. Last year at the break, he was hitting .249 with an on-base of .288. Now, he did have 23 homers, 61 RBIs last year at the break, and he'll get close to those this year. I don't know that you'll find anybody who will argue to say he has not had a better first half this year than last year. Way up in the air to shallow right. Carlos Gonzalez just activated from the disabled list today for the Rockies. Will make that catch for out number 2. Take a look at their entire defensive setup behind Jeff Hoffman, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Tapia out in left field. Blackman, an all-star in center. Gonzalez back in the lineup tonight, is in right. Nolan Arenado, another all-stars at third. Story at short. LeMahieu, still a third all-star at second base. Reynolds at first, with Walters and Hoffman making up the Rockies battery. Blackman and Arenado will be starters in this year's all-star game, along with Red shortstop Zach Cozart. So 3 starters in this game on these two teams. There's a ball that went off the foot, it looked like, of Suarez. He limped out of the box. The play was made by Arenado to retire the side. So to the mound, the right-hander, the youngster, the rookie, Luis Castillo, 3rd start of his career. Colorado club is Bud Black, longtime Padre skipper, has his team right now at 48-36 heading into tonight's game. This is 10th year as a big league manager, and here's the lineup that he presents tonight. Brought to you by Menards. 3 All-Stars at the top: Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Arenado. Reynolds, Gonzalez, and Tapia in the middle. Then is Trevor Story, Tony Walters, and Jeff Hoffman. On the mound for the Reds, 24-year-old right-hander Luis Castillo.
Well, he won't be 25 until December, although when he signed originally, Castillo was a young man that was kind of old for his age, if you want to call it that. 19 years old is when he originally signed a pro contract. That was with the San Francisco Giants, but they don't care how old he is here in Cincinnati. Just keep throwing the ball the way he has his first couple of starts. Outstanding debut against the Washington Nationals, even better last time against the Brewers.
Well, he gets a tough leadoff man here in Charlie Blackmon. He leads the National League in hitting average at home. He's hitting .390 here at Coors. Tied for the league leading hits with 106. And he immediately gets ahead now. 3 balls and no strike.
I just really hope that Castillo hasn't heard anything about Coors Field, because sometimes you can psych yourself out ahead of time by people calling you up saying, oh, you have the ball flies there. There's always offensive games. And sometimes you start picking away at the corners more than you should, and next thing you know, you start walking people, which is the one thing you cannot do here in Colorado and get away with it.
Castillo has walked an abnormally large number for him. He walked only 13 in 80 innings at AA. He's walked 8 in his 10 2/3 innings so far in his 2 big league starts.
Well, when the Rockies came through Cincinnati and really showed the Reds something there on their home turf, it was the numbers 1, 2, and 3 hitters in the lineup that were really getting it done. Overall, they batted nearly .380. They had 9 runs batted in those 3 games.
And they beat the Reds 2 out of 3.
And that would be Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Nolan Arenado. Same top 3 in the lineup tonight.
There's LeMahieu waiting on deck.
Blackmon that time by throwing a breaking pitch on a full count.
So now it's DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman. In case you're wondering, by the way, Castillo's first start was Devin Mesoraco. His last start was Barnhart, and it's Barnhart again here today behind the plate. LeMahieu, his second All-Star appearance for him this year. He's hitting .303 with 3 home runs. He was an All-Star back in 15, 2 years ago, and will be one of the 4 Rockies representatives at the All-Star game this year. See Blackmon at the top. We mentioned his name. Look at Arenado there and LeMahieu. These are the hit leaders in the National League. Both of those 2 closing in on 100. There's hit number 99 of the year for LeMahieu. Slicing single into right. Take a look at the Reds' defensive alignment. Behind Luis Castillo, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They line up with Duvall in left. Schebler getting the start in center. Billy Hamilton out of the lineup today with a little soreness in his lower back. Kivlahan gets the start in right. Suarez, Peraza, Jeanette Votto third to first. Castillo and Barnhart make up the Reds battery tonight.
Kind of a shame about Hamilton not being here, because if there was ever a ballpark you wanted the speediest of all center fielders, it would be Coors Field.
Here's Nolan Arenado. Boy, this guy has put up some monster years the last couple of years for Colorado. Nolan Arenado, 40+ home runs, over 100 RBIs in each of those years. This year he's hit 15, driven in 62. Very good, but not on the pace he has set the last couple of years. He's led the National League in homers and RBIs each of the last 2 seasons. Very impressive. To top it all off, he is by far the best defensive third baseman in the league, having garnered 4 consecutive Gold Gloves. He'll start at third base this year for the National League Stars.
Well, I'll tell you what, Castillo may be 3-0 to Arenado, but he is not missed by much. It's not like this kid is throwing the ball all over the place. He's missed twice now, down and away. I mean, that's not wildness. That's just a little tick off from having really good command.
Todd Tishner is the home plate umpire. Castillo will need to adjust to what he deems the strike zone. 3-1. Castillo 24 from the Dominican, 6'2", 190-pounder. Came up from Double-A Pensacola to make that first big league start on the 23rd of June against Washington, and he walks Arenado. 2 of the first 3 have reached here in the Rockies first. Tucker Barnhart taking a quick trip to the mound to talk to Castillo. You know, special 4th of July holiday uniforms that the teams are wearing. The Reds had the home versions on the last 2 days at Great American against the Cubs. They wear the road version today and tomorrow. Here now is the very dangerous Mark Reynolds. Hitting .286 with 19 home runs. Starts him with a nice breaking ball. Reynolds 6th in the league in runs batted in with 61. His Rockies team coming off a 1-8 road trip. Their only win coming in the middle game of the recently completed 3-game series against Arizona. They went to LA, were swept 3, to San Francisco, were swept 3. Lost 2 out of 3 to the D-backs. So 1-8 road trip brings them home 12 games over. They were at 1.21 games above 500. Castillo will make this play. Runners move up. That's the second out of the inning. LeMahieu over third, and Arenado out at second base for Carlos Gonzalez. He gets a nice hand just being activated from the disabled list. He last played on the 22nd of June. He had right shoulder soreness. His numbers way down from what they normally are. This guy's a 3-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner. He's averaged over the course of his career 30 home runs and just shy of 100 RBIs over the course of a 10-year career, but this year down a little bit. 6 homers, 20 runs batted in. That is atypical also. 129. Rizip with 2 out. Votto. He will take it himself and beat Cargo to the bag. And Castillo, a nice recovery, puts a 0 up in the bottom of the first.
Likes to fly here at Coors Field. Check out our IGS Bringing the Energy. Last season in the series here in Denver, May 30th through June 3rd, Reds had 12 home runs. Rockies with 12 home runs. The 24 combined home runs tied for the second most in MLB history for a 4-game series. Duvall, Suarez, Arenado, Blackman, Carlos Gonzalez all had 3 home runs apiece. It's going to be heating up as the week goes on. Will the ball be a-flying? We'll find out together.
Good point, because it is very hot here, abnormally warm. Usually when the teams come out this way, they enjoy the relief from the humidity of the Midwest. And boy, the temperature of those is going to be in the 90s all 4 days the Reds are here.
Just the way we like it.
Schebler to lead it off, then Kivlahan, then Barnhart here in the second. Schebler 20 home runs, has driven in 40. Did not drive in a run during the recent 6-game homestand. Gets this one into center. Blackman going black. Blackman on the warning track, and Blackman will haul it in.
Well, that sounded great coming off the bat. Schebler thought that ball probably was going to carry a little bit more than it actually did.
Scott gives it a pretty good ride, but one of the best center fielders in the game. Charlie Blackman ran it down. So Schebler the first out here in the second. Batter will be Patrick Kivlahan. Kivlahan getting the start here tonight in right, with Schebler moving to center. Billy Hamilton, we mentioned, out of the lineup. Another chance for Blackman. This one is in his tracks as he moves to his right. Brian Price did say that he hopes that Hamilton would be available to him in some capacity during tonight's game. He certainly did not rule out the possibility of Hamilton playing tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday here. But he did get lifted for a pinch hitter in the 8th inning yesterday by Kivlahan in that game against the Cubs. Barnhart with 2 up.
There's the curveball that is really the signature pitch for Jeff Hoffman. Of course, the fastball's not so bad either. That's what got him to be a #1 draft pick by the Blue Jays. The curveball, you know, the criticism out here in Colorado is that the air is so thin and dry that it's very difficult to get the rotation on it. So that remains his best pitch.
You buy into that?
Oh yeah, I sure do. What you really find out as a pitcher here is you have to work harder on every one of your pitches, especially your breaking pitches. If you don't finish it completely, the ball just tends to just roll up there. And there's a lot of speculation, most of it anecdotal, about, you know, why pitchers don't last a long time here. And that's always been my theory, is that you have to work so hard during every one of your starts here that it just wears you down. If you've got a nice little sinking fastball or a changeup that you can throw at sea level in Cincinnati in July, where there's nice humidity, that ball comes out of your hand, you can throw it at about an 85 to 90% effort. The ball drop at home plate, you get a ground ball. That doesn't happen here.
That's ball 4 to Barnhart, so he draws the first walk of the game by Jeff Hoffman. He'll be aboard with 2 out for Luis Castillo. I guess going back to what you're talking about, Chris, pitchers here in Denver, you rarely, if ever, see a free agent pitcher sign here. That's why it was a little surprising when Greg Holland signed here, and then what he has done has been unbelievable.
Well, he's come back and reclaimed himself as one of the top closers around, but I think for a reliever it's a little different than a starter.
Toward right field, and Gonzalez will make the play. Castillo retired. Reds leave a runner in the second.
It's a style of hitting that I never do, and I've played every game thus far this season, and I'm concerned about two things. I'm concerned about potentially getting injured, and I'm concerned about not being able to do my very best if I can sense an injury. And it's a challenging event. It's something that I'd rather save for the field and during the game. So.
Joey Votto talking about turning down the invitation to participate in the home run derby at the All-Star game, and he can look no further to his teammate Adam Duvall, who participated last year and never came out and said that it had an effect on him. His numbers were down in the second half, but this week kind of opened up about it. He said that after the home run derby, the next day and for the next few days, he could barely even shake someone's hand because he could barely move his arms because his forearms were so tired. Now, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. He was not making an excuse for his second half last year. I'm just talking about the physical effects that the home run derby had on him. He was totally spent afterwards. And Joey Votto maybe have asked him and doesn't want to participate in it. So, especially now, gentlemen, with the event being a timed event where the rounds are timed, man, you are really getting after it, and it really takes it out of you.
Hey, I don't blame him whatsoever.
I don't know what it's like to play every day. It's got to be very difficult, and to play at the level that Votto does, especially.
That's going to be extra bases off the bat of Raimel Tapia into the right field corner. He's going to get 3 as Kiblahan gets that ball back in, but Tapia has himself a 3-base hit. The Rockies have the tying run 90 feet away to get the bottom of the second started.
The ball goes right inside the first base bag and right down the line. Now the stands jut out a little bit. And this is where Patrick Kiblahan gets a little schooling about Coors Field. He's playing like it's going to hit off that little outcropping of seats there, but it doesn't. It slips right inside the line, stays there, and that's why Tapia was able to get all the way into third. He runs well, and they get it going here in the bottom half of the lineup.
His second triple puts him at third base with nobody out. Now Trevor Story, the shortstop. Interesting to hear Jim talk about what Duvall went through. It's amazing because here's a guy that takes batting practice every day, plays every day, and yet, as he said, he could barely shake a guy's hand. His arms were so sore.
I think Major League Baseball's in a tough spot right there because the way they have the format of that home run derby, it's very exciting right now. No more exciting than it was in Cincinnati when Todd Frazier went right down to the wire and won for all the home folks. But I mean, I don't know how many swings he had to take that night just to get to the finals and then win that derby. So, you know, if you're an everyday player that is playing every game, every inning of every game, which is basically what Votto does, you're asking yourself an awful lot. So, you know, Major League Baseball could say, well, let's change the format and make it more adaptable to players who, you know, don't want to wear themselves out. But at the same time, you take some of the sizzle away from the home run contest. It's a tough thing to answer, but I can see where Votto's coming from all the way.
Do you have a potential format in mind?
Negative. No, I mean, it would basically be shortening it up, and it wouldn't be as exciting, obviously, and it's become a big deal on the day before the All-Star game.
Yeah, I think the timed event that you talked about has really made it much more exciting than it used to be, the outs event.
I think the other part that Votto, he first said, and I think this is where it comes to rest. That's a big strikeout right there. Is that type of swing that he has just to hit home runs is something that simply does not compute with him. He has spent his whole professional life trying to get away from the wild, hit it as far as you can swing. And so why revert into something that you don't want to do, you know, just for the fact of a home run derby, which in the long run doesn't mean anything. I mean, his commitment and his obligation is to the Cincinnati Reds and winning ball games, not home run derbies.
Here's the catcher now, Tony Walters. Left-handed batter. Reds have the infield in. Walters at 293 with 13 runs batted in. He's a youngster. Walters, he's only 25, and he has a KG veteran in Ryan Hannigan teaching him the ropes.
Well, he does, and Walters is really learning the ropes behind the plate because he was a middle infielder coming up. He never caught in high school, never caught in college. Was changed over from middle infielder to a catcher by Terry Francona, manager of the Indians.
Towards shallow left, Duvall will dive and make the catch, and the runner has to go back. Boy, what an effort by Adam Duvall in left field to make the catch and save a run.
Well, no man's land is where the runner got in that, because at first he thought the ball was going to fall in, and then he thought it was going to get caught, and then he thought it was going to fall in. And Duvall comes in to make a diving catch right here. You don't know how this is going to play out in the ball game, but boy, that is some kind of an effort. Meanwhile, Raimel Tapia at third base was about 6 feet away from the bag when Duvall dove to make that catch. Had he gone back to tag up, he would have been able to go. He gets right there in no man's land. And by the time he goes back, it's too late.
So what do? They ask the pitcher Hoffman to get it done, and he does just that with a base hit into right. And now he's going to turn it into a double. Givleham with the big infield, the big outfield, stayed back on that ball. That ends up being a two-base hit for Hoffman and his first career RBI.
Well, I'll tell you what, he runs aggressively too, doesn't he? He's a good athlete. You said he was about 6'5". Former basketball player, can run a little bit. Slips on the bag, but he's still safe at second base.
So we're 1-1 here in the bottom of the second. Back to the top of the order now, and Charlie Blackmon. Hoffman had been 1 for 17 as a hitter this year coming into this game. Was ahead 3-0 on the count his first time. Eventually struck out against Castillo. I know, Chris, you didn't pitch in this ballpark, but you pitched in Mile High, did you not?
I did. The Reds had a minor league team here in 1986, the Denver Zephyrs. On that team with the likes of Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin, Paul O'Neill, and a number of others. And that was a tough ballpark to pitch in because it was very short down the lines, very deep in center field. But you get the feeling of what it's like to pitch here in Denver. And you have two problems. Number one, the air is thin and dry, and the ball doesn't spin much. The other problem is that how do you get a good grip on a baseball? Because the perspiration or sweat that you have immediately dries up, and it's hard to get a good grip. So basically what I did between innings was pour cups of water on my uniform. And that way when I would wipe my uniform, I at least have a little moisture, you know, to work with. You could rub a baseball and get a little bit better feel.
That wasn't considered illegal?
I don't know. I didn't. I was always going to ask forgiveness instead of permission.
Good location there by Castillo, and he gets to even against Blackman at 2-2. Rockies left 2 on in the first, have scored the tying run here in the second.
What a crowd tonight. Tonight's ball game will be sold out. Tomorrow's will be sold out. They should have good crowds for both the Wednesday night game and the Thursday day game. I would say baseball's back here in Colorado. There was for a while there, you know, as the team was struggling. They were losing a lot of games every year. They were trying to find the right mix of manager, general manager, and players. They're elated with the way they played here in the first half.
Swing and a miss, and for the second time, Castillo is able to strike out Charlie Blackman. Rockies settle for 1. Our Elk and Elk storylines for this game. It's all about these Colorado Rockies. They had a great start. They were 21 games over 500 at one point. They also had, on the 16th of June, a 2.5 game lead in the division, but look what's happened since. 1-10, most of that on the road. Runs way down, average way down. Home runs cut in half. ERA has doubled out of their starters. They've gone from 21 over to 12 over. They're trying to get back to the postseason, somewhere they have not been since '09, when they were a wild card team and lost in the first round to Philadelphia. They've had 6 straight sub-500 seasons here. But right now, they hold down the second wild card spot, with Arizona being the number 1. Both of them trailing what has turned out to be a really hot Dodgers team over the course of the last 3 weeks. All right, third inning, top of the order. Peraza, Jeanette, Votto against the right-hander Jeff Hoffman. Broken bat to the shortstop, and Story will make the play. That bat went down past the Reds dugout.
I think it went down into the camera well down there. Normally a place where Jim Day's hanging out. Jim, you got something on that one?
Yeah, that bad boy came flying into the camera well right over our camera guys. And I got to tell you, it's a dangerous situation. I mean, you look at this. This is like a spear going through the air. And, you know, they really got to think about nets going clear down the lines at some point. 'Cause there's no way around it. It's dangerous. These bats are just breaking apart. They're just exploding. And there's not much you can do to get out of the way.
Yeah, I noticed in St. Louis when the Reds were there recently on that one-game makeup that they have nets now that go down to the end of the dugouts. I agree with Jim. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think we're going to see more and more teams next year. In fact, Tom Brenneman was talking about on one of our broadcasts, Jim, recently where he thought he read where Major League Baseball is going to have every team do that next year. They just didn't have enough time to do that in the stadiums this year. So,
and to those who say, well, it restricts the view of the people that are behind the dugouts, I would submit that nobody complains behind home plate. And at spring training in our ballpark in Goodyear, the nets go all the way down.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a season ticket holder that sits behind the dugout, so I don't have an opinion on that. I do know that when I go to a ball game, I prefer to sit behind the screen. In fact, I used to like to pitch with a screen. They just wouldn't let me do it.
You're always full of the one-liners, aren't you?
Just trying to keep you going.
Janetta base it into right his first time. There's Joey Votto on deck. One of the many interesting things he said about being an all-star, he said he kind of took it for granted those 4 years in a row that he was named, and once he was not anymore, he realized how big of a deal it was, how important it is. He's glad to be back as an all-star in 2017.
Well, I've said this to just about every visiting broadcaster that asks, because you know we always scout each other's team and so on, and I just tell people Votto is as locked in this year as I've ever seen him. I mean, he seems to have an extra bit of resolve, never giving a bat away, grinding it out no matter what the score or how late the game is. And I really can't compare Votto to another player in this league because his batting style is different. He's just exceptional. I mean, it didn't happen all at once either. Votto, you know, has worked very hard little by little to get to this point, but we're seeing him now at his peak. Can he get better? I don't know. It's worth waiting and watching, though.
Jeanette down to a knee on that swing on the 2-2, and he strikes out. 2 men out.
First punch out of the night for Jeff Hoffman. There's the hammer curveball. You know, the one thing the pitchers pretty much say right now about the baseball is that, you know, it's hard, it's traveling farther and so on, but they'll also tell you that the seams are very hard to get a hold of, which makes it really difficult to understand how Hoffman can throw that good of a curveball.
Maybe lower seams mean longer fingernails. Joey this year came into this game 6th in the league in batting average, up to 2nd now in on base, tied for 1st in walks, where he usually is. 2nd in slugging, and this is something new for him this early. At 23 home runs, that's the most he's had before an all-star game, before the all-star break.
Votto's got to be very happy right now in this at bat, not only because he's 3-0 in the count, but that 1-0 pitch was a fastball right across the top end of the strike zone, and it was called ball. I think he kind of laughed at it a little bit, and he realized, well, if that's the top of the strike zone, I'm looking pretty good right here tonight.
LeMahieu will throw him out, and the Reds go in order against Hoffman in the third.
Celebrate Independence Day by watching Game 2 of this 4-game set between the Reds and Rockies. Reds Live kicks off the coverage at 7:30 p.m. Cincinnati time. Swing into summer on Fox Sports Ohio. Fox Sports Go. It's presented by Click It or Ticket.
I don't know what.
Brian Price announced today, as we're in a 1-1 game, that on Thursday it'll be rookie Sal Romano making the start. Sal had injury problems at AAA, then came back. It was kind of an up and down ride for Sal. But the last 2 starts have been very, very good, and Brian also said that he was kind of anxious. He thought he would get Romano back much sooner after that Major League debut. It wasn't a great Major League debut, in which Sal admitted he was overamped a little bit, but he thinks this time it'll be a much different Sal Romano, despite pitching here in the tough Coors Field.
I know I'm very much looking forward to seeing Romano pitch again. Jim's talking about that start he made his debut game back on the 16th of April against Milwaukee, when he walked 4, gave up 3 hits in 3 innings, gave up a couple of home runs, suffered the loss in that game, but is coming off a complete game effort his last time out at AAA Louisville on the 29th.
You know, I think everybody around baseball who's been around a while, certainly the coaches, Brian Price, the front office with the Reds, you know, it's not an easy thing to make the transition from the minor leagues to the big leagues. You're going to have your setbacks, so it's no big deal really to come up here and, you know, maybe have a bad game or 2, or struggle a little bit. Amir Garrett's been up and down a couple of times. It's no big deal to go back down there and get your act together and come back. You know, for what you do when you on your way down, you remember what you need to do to prepare for your next stop up here. And I'm glad that Sal's healthy. I'm looking forward to his outing coming up. You certainly don't write these kids off just because their first experience in the big leagues was a sour one. I mean, hopefully they'll have long enough big league careers that they forget all about that first one or that second one.
Well, you were talking about the baseball earlier, and you know, the baseball is different when they go down to AAA than when they come up here. By the diving Votto, LeMahieu leads off the third with his second hit of the night.
I don't know if you've noticed, but he has had 2 very impressive hits here tonight. First pitch he had that he had a base hit on in the first inning, a 2-2 fastball. He rockets into right field. Looks like he's swinging late, and I'm thinking, well, maybe that was just luck, until you see this one. He really is making sure that he gets that bat level in the zone as quickly as he can. That's called using all fields right there.
DJ LeMahieu could not make the everyday lineup for the Cubs years ago because of being blocked over there by Darwin Barney, but he has really made the most of his time out here in Denver. They mentioned he's an all-star again this year for the 2nd time. He's won a couple of Gold Gloves. Done nice work. A Gold Glove. Needs a go-ahead run aboard in the bottom of the third.
Of course, when I say was LeMahieu doing it as luck, I don't think so. I mean, the guy did win the batting title last year. So you don't do that normally if all you do is hit it to a certain part of the ballpark.
He had 348 last year to win the batting title in the National League. Solid contact, hit up the middle by Arenado. 5 hits now for the Rockies. They have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, they're an offense just like the last 2 offenses that Luis Castillo has faced. The Washington Nationals and the Milwaukee Brewers that just kind of keep coming after you. They just don't have 3 guys in the middle of the lineup or 4 of the top 6 that are pretty good hitters. They go very deep here.
So now it's Mark Reynolds.
Now, Mark Reynolds is a player that probably was just simply ahead of his time. I mean, he was always a guy that was near or atop the leaderboard in strikeouts per season. Of course, nowadays nobody cares. He's still striking out a lot, but the difference is that he's cut his swing down a little bit, making slightly more contact, but having a very productive year. And they didn't expect to have him really playing every day.
Yeah, up until this year, he had bounced around the last 3 or 4 years between different big league clubs, different leagues in the American League, over to the National League and back to the shortstop. There's one, and safe at first base. LeMahieu ends up at third. And Carlos Gonzalez will bat with runners at the corners and 1 out.
Yeah, the ball hit very slowly, and Peraza's got to go to his right. Makes a nice play. Gets rid of the ball quickly, but not able to turn 2.
So here's Gonzalez. Rockies come into this game with the best runners in scoring position average in the major leagues at 308. Tonight they're already 1 out of 7, so they've had a lot of chances against Castillo. Jeanette has that ball go off his glove. They'll get an out at second base. A run will score. Give an RBI to Gonzalez. The Rockies have taken a 2-1 lead. That ball looked like it had some funny spin on it.
Well, it looked like it was going to be caught on the fly, at least from the perspective of Mark Reynolds. That's why he didn't run to second base. And the Reds are fortunate he did not, so you can still get an easy force play. The RBI for Gonzalez and the lead to the Rockies.
The batter now, Raimel Tapia. Rockies up now, a run at 2-1. For the longest time, their AAA club here at Colorado was in the state at Colorado Springs. It made it very easy for them to get guys from here to there. And now it's a little bit further away in Albuquerque.
I don't know if there's a setup any better than what the Reds have with the proximity of their AAA to Louisville.
Down the left field line, this ball is fair and into the corner. That'll be a ground rule double. How about Tapia? He pulled a triple into the right field corner his first time, gets a ground rule double down the left field line here.
Working the lines. Not hit well, really, off the end of the bat as it just slices, but stays fair.
Saved the Reds a run by that ball going into the seats. Now it's Trevor Story with second and third and 2 out. Time is called. Mac Jenkins is going to go to the mound, the pitching coach of the Reds, to talk with Luis Castillo. Eugenio Suarez will come over from third and help translate. He has thrown now 53 pitches, has Castillo. He's working here in the third. He's able to strike the runner, or the batter Story, out his first time.
I'm not so sure that Suarez needed to do a lot of translating right there. Castillo doesn't speak fluent English at all. And it may be a while before he does television interviews, but he has a pretty good idea of what you're saying when you talk to him, especially when you talk about pitching. Great kid. Easy smile, hard worker. Reds really landed themselves a good one with him. Kind of interesting, really, because the deal that brought Castillo to the Reds might not have happened at all had the Marlins been successful in trading him the year before to the San Diego Padres in the Colin Reed deal. As it turned out, the pitcher that came from the Padres to the Marlins, Colin Reed, had a bad arm, and evidently had a bad arm prior to the trade. So when he made his first start for the Marlins and he came up with an elbow problem, the Marlins were furious at the Padres that they got damaged goods. Well, in that trade was Castillo, so the trade was undone, and that kept Castillo in the system throughout the rest of the season last year, and then into November when the Marlins came a call on the Reds interested in Dan Straley. The Reds right away said, well, we want Castillo. Marlins said, well, we don't want to trade him. So they sat on it for a while, and eventually the deal got done.
Kiblahan chasing. He's going to get to this ball and makes the catch. Story retired, and the inning is over. But the Rockies get a run through 3, lead 2-1. Just $29.99 a month with the Reds' top 6 ballpark pass. Tickets are delivered right to your mobile device, and the pass automatically renews each month, so you never miss a game. Learn more at reds.com/top6. Beautiful Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. That's where the Reds will be today through Thursday. 4-game series to close out the season series against this team. Trailing 2-1 as we start the 4th. Duvall, Suarez, Schebler against the offerings of this right-hander, Jeff Hoffman.
Well, Jim Kelch, I'm corrected on something I said earlier that I didn't know of in a situation better than the Reds, proximity-wise, AAA to the Major League team, except for, I've been corrected by Rena Ball, thank you, Rena, the Braves in Gwinnett. Their AAA team is basically a suburb of Atlanta.
You know, and now that the Braves have built that new ballpark and moved to the northern end of Atlanta, those two places are very, very close, those two ballparks. Still in all, the Reds are very, very fortunate to have Louisville as their affiliate. I mean, it's an hour and 20 minutes from one ballpark to the other.
Great ownership, wonderful people down in Louisville. They draw well. This is where Duvall can surprise a lot of people. He's become a very good breaking ball hitter. Maybe not this time.
Walters will throw him out at first. And the leadoff man down here in the 4th.
Here after that 0-2 count, the catcher Tony Walters went out to talk to Jeff Hoffman. He probably said, listen, you know, if you're going to throw a breaking ball here, just miss on the dirt. Don't hang it, because Duvall's got plenty of power on that pitch.
Hoffman now has retired 10 of the last 11. He gave up the hit to start the game to Peraza. A hit to right by Jeanette followed that. The only runner that has reached base since was Barnhart, who drew a walk on a 3-2 pitch. Here's Eugenio Suarez. Suarez bounced out to Arenado his first time. He's in the thralls of a terrible hitting slump. 3 out of his last 32 for Suarez. He checked in only 190 for the month of June. And out to a great start. Hit 329 in April, down to 255 in May, and just the 190 average in the month of June. But his on-base percentage has stayed up thanks to 25 walks in his last part there on that graphic. Foul ball out of play. Remember last year he went through a tough time after getting off to a good start. Hit under 200 in May, rebounded, and actually ended the season very well. And his defense has been off the charts down at third base. He draws a walk there.
It may not happen in this series, Jim, but I've always thought it's interesting when you have a premier player in one position. In this case, Nolan Arenado playing third base for the Rockies, and then you have a younger, kind of an understudy type player in Eugenio Suarez coming in on the other team. You know, oftentimes that understudy player, you know, raises his game a little bit, knowing that the premier guy in the league at his position is playing against him in this series. And sometimes that's always worth watching. What Suarez can do, you know, watching what Arenado can do.
Let's see what Schebler can do here with the leadoff man on. He's going to bounce into a double play. They were shifted. Nicely played there by Trevor Story. Turns into a 6-3 inning-ending double play.
Brought to you by T-Mobile. June award winners in the American League. Aaron Judge rolls on both of them, player and rookie of the month. Corey Kluber of the Indians, pitcher of the month, and Roberto Osuna, the reliever of the month. Here in the National League, Andrew McCutchen returns to form in June. Cody Bellinger continues an outstanding rookie campaign. Max Scherzer, pitcher of the month, and reliever of the month, Kenley Jansen, and we saw him nearly unhittable in the month of June. And Joey Votto announced today he is your player of the week.
Congratulations to all those players, including particularly Joey Votto being named the National League's player of the week. You know, when you look at the All-Star team on the National League side, Bellinger is listed as an outfielder. We saw him play a lot of first base. He added really to the congestion that was down there at first base in terms of All-Stars. You end up getting the starter down there, Ryan Zimmerman, who leads the league in hitting. You get Votto as a second first baseman. Paul Goldschmidt as a third first baseman. Bellinger could obviously go over there and play if he needed to. A lot of very fine first basemen in the National League right now. And not to slight Mark Reynolds, who's playing first base here. Reynolds, in fact, is involved in the final vote for the last spot on the National League All-Star team.
At the very least, you think that Reynolds should be in the All-Star home run hitting contest. I understand that Charlie Blackmon was just announced for the home run hitting derby.
Yeah, unlike
the leadoff hitter.
Here's that final vote we're talking about. Justin Bour, Bryant, we just saw, Rendon, Mark Reynolds here, Justin Turner of the Dodgers. Voting takes place through the 6th at 4, and then later that night on MLB Network's MLB Tonight Show, they will announce the winners. Those are the National League participants. There's 5 more on the American League side, including former Red Didi Gregorius is in that group. Hopping a 2-run, two-base hit that produced a run his first time. One of the 6 hits by the Rockies.
Hoffman was not drafted out of high school. He grew up in Latham, New York, which is in upstate New York, not too far from Albany and Troy, New York. Ended up going down to East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. That's where he was taken first round, 2014, 9th pick overall by the Blue Jays. And then, like so many really great young pitchers, he somehow got out of the Blue Jays system. You know, like Noah Syndergaard, for instance, ends up going with the Mets. He got traded in that Troy Tulowitzki deal.
He's a Tommy John guy too, isn't he? Didn't he have Tommy John?
He did have Tommy John, and it was several years ago, so it's not an issue now in his health or coming back or anything like that.
Blows that one by him for the strikeout. Number 5 for Castillo. Back-to-back Ks, and he looks for his first 1-2-3 inning.
Well, he's got back-to-back strikeouts already, and he also has back-to-back strikeouts off the leadoff hitter, Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon goes down on a 3-2 pitch breaking ball the first time up and then blown away by a fastball. Same part of the plate at 98 miles an hour. So Blackmon steps in for the 3rd time. Charlie from Suwanee, Georgia. He still looks like he's waiting for that call.
Which is?
For the reenactment movie, the Civil War reenactment movie that he will be a star in when he ever does get that call.
Is there any doubt he wouldn't be the main man the way he looks? Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the aforementioned Noah Syndergaard, who was also like Jeff Hoffman from the Toronto Blue Jays system. He averages his fastball Syndergaard, of course he's injured this year, 98.2 miles an hour. Castillo is second. Now that is only over a period of 2 games so far, but mighty impressive start for Castillo. But what I still think is even more impressive than his fastball, because there are a lot of guys that can throw 98, but who has the kind of control of his changeup that Castillo has shown already at age 24?
Blasted to right field by Blackmon, and that ball will go. His 18th of the year.
Charlie Blackmon shows you that, you know, leadoff hitters nowadays are a completely different genre of baseball player. This pitch is not all that bad. It's down but out over the plate. No, it's not. It's on the inner third. 18 of them now for Blackmon.
He hit a career-high 29 last year. A Rockies club that is amazingly, and I mean really amazingly, 10th in the league in home runs. Get the first home run of this game. The Reds the other day had that long stretch of home runs allowed in consecutive games. It ended Friday. They were sitting at 22 straight. It's a franchise record, but the Cubs did not homer in the game on Friday, but did come back and get 2 on Saturday, 3 yesterday. 1 so far today by the Rockies. So 25 of the last 26 games the Reds have been touched up for a home run. LeMahieu with 2 out. Got him looking, so he gets 3 strikeouts in the inning, but gives up the home run ball to that man, Charlie Blackmon, and the Rockies are up 3-1 after 4. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. And your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Sun's still very much high in the sky here in Denver, Colorado. First of a 4-game series, another 8-10 start tomorrow. Then the game on Wednesday goes back a half an hour. It's an 8:40 start, and we'll wrap it up Thursday afternoon with a 3:10 first pitch here from Coors Field. All of the games right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Kivlahan trying to get it going here in the top of the 5th. Rockies certainly trying to rebound as Kiblahan is at 2 balls and 1 strike. We talked about the 1-8 road trip, the fact that they have gone from a 2.5 game lead in the division and 21 games over. The losers of 10 of their last 11. They have done a nice job here at home. Their home record 22 wins and 15 losses, and they did end the month of June at 15-12, so they've had plus 500 months in each of the first 3 months of the year. The first time they've been able to do that since back in 2009. They have been traditionally a team in the last 6-7 years or so that have gotten off to a good start and then fallen away. That pitch looked like it was right down the heart of the plate.
That's what Bud Black is thinking.
Two former pitchers managing in this series. Bud Black, a long-time big leaguer. Brian Price never pitched in the big leagues, but did pitch in the minor leagues for a long time. There they are. Bud Black, what he was, 17-game winner back in the 80s with the Indians.
Well, he's also managed a long time too. 9 years with the Padres. Got fired actually when his team was in 3rd place in 2015. Dave Roberts came in to take over. Then they gave the assignment to Pat Murphy. High expectations for the Padres that year. If you remember, in 2015 they had a star-studded roster. They had a brand new front office featuring A.J. Preller, their general manager. The team had high expectations, and they were in 3rd place after about 65 games, and that's when they cut ties with Bud Black. Took a year off and then was hired this year to run the Rockies. He took over for Walt Weiss here.
So you have these two, and then you have Boston's John Farrell, a former pitching coach, manager of the Red Sox. The only 3 former pitchers that are managing right now in the big leagues. Pitching coaches. Hit hard by Barnhart, and Blackman will get to it.
Blackman is a good outfielder. He gets good jumps on the ball. That ball was slicing a little bit, came back towards him. It's a big outfield. I mean, he is nowhere near as fast as, say, Billy Hamilton. For the 31-year-old who will be a free agent after this year. He and DJ LeMahieu will both be free agents, which will present the Rockies with some decision-making at the end of the season.
Castillo trying to bunt the runner along here. Slide out to right his first time. That ended the second. Nolan Arenado coming way in from 3rd. Nolan Arenado is like halfway in. He's going to field this ball, go to second and get an out. Go to first and safe there. I mean to tell you, Arenado was coming in. He was more than halfway to the plate and moving when that pitch was delivered, and it paid off for the Rockies.
I'll tell you, we see situations where first basemen are very aggressive. I don't think I've seen this maybe ever. On the first base side of home plate, the third baseman fields. Arenado, with an accurate, strong arm, nearly gets a double play out of it. Look where he ends up at the end of this play. He's standing right at first base. This could have been a 5-6-5 double play if you get the first baseman out of the way.
Well, credit Castillo here for taking off, because he knew that he had to chug it down the line to beat that out, and he did. And that's a 4-time Gold Glover right there. Nolan Arenado.
Well, they are treated here in Colorado to just an endless supply of highlight defensive reels. by Nolan Arenado, much like the Reds were for such a long time with Brandon Phillips. I mean, he's the same caliber of player, if not even a notch higher, because when you add his offense in, it makes him one of the most complete players in all of baseball. The other day on Wednesday, against the San Francisco Giants, Ty Block at the plate hits a ground ball, and Arenado throws him out from his back. I mean, this ball's racing away from him, and he just fires it to first base. And Ty Block is running hard, but still an out at first base. That is a remarkable play.
See a lot of highlights throughout the course of the season, but that one to me is the top right there. I mean, how strong does that guy have to be able to make that play? Top fielding third baseman. In fact, these two teams, the top two defensive teams in the National League. Story the short way. They get the force out at second on Castillo. And that ends the Reds' fifth inning.
Telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, make your plans to cheer on the Reds when they take on the Washington Nationals. You can do so for as low as $12, and the first 20,000 fans through the gates receive a Billy Hamilton bobblehead thanks to Dynegy Energy Services. For tickets, visit Reds.com. The Nationals, of course, are the team that will open things up for the Redlegs after the All-Star break. They'll be there Friday through Monday, a rare wraparound weekend 4-game series against the Nationals, 14th through the 17th at Great American Ballpark. That's when the Reds will be back home for a very extended homestand of 10 games. Nationals 4, Diamondbacks 3, Marlins 3. And all comes on the heels of the 4-day All-Star break and this 7-game road trip. Here's the man who made the terrific play in the top of the inning to lead it off in the bottom half, Nolan Arenado. He's walked and singled. See Castillo now approaching 80 pitches. His starts so far for the Reds have gone 5 and 5 2/3. He's working in the 5th here. Kivlahan charging. He'll get into foul ground and can't quite get there.
Boy, a football player type attempt for Patrick Kivlahan.
He's really learning, isn't he, how big this place is?
Well, it's a huge place, and the foul territory down those lines even makes it bigger. I mean, he's closing and closing and not afraid to try to make a fantastic play.
I mean, the dimensions here at this ballpark blow away the dimensions at other stadiums around the big leagues.
I mean, don't you love that effort, though? I mean, he knew when he left his feet, he was going to slide on, something other than grass. That's kind of the way this ball club is played. I mean, for whatever shortcomings they may have in their starting rotation, they've got a lot of guys on this ball club that are not afraid to play just full out.
This club really hasn't made many personnel moves non-pitching wise this year.
5 of the last 6 strikeouts now for Luis Castillo, separated by the home run by Blackman.
Then you're looking at Alcantara's been here all year. Kivlahan's been here all year. Jeanette has been here all year. Mesoraco missed the first month. Turner, the Rule 5, has been here. We saw Philip Ervin come up for a very short stint. We've seen Winker come up for a couple of short stints. By and large, that's been it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Castillo is really throwing the ball right now.
Got it right by him. A strikeout. That's 8 of them now. And as Chris mentioned, that's 5 of the last 6 that have been strikeout victims.
Well, he had 9 his last outing. That was against the Milwaukee Brewers. In fact, he left that ball game with the lead. Reds unable to hold on to get him his first victory. Right now down by 2, but throwing the ball especially well, considering his experience at this level.
And it works now to Carlos Gonzalez with 2 men out and nobody on. They shift him. 3 infielders on the right side. What a nice changeup there.
Yeah, I forgot that he actually left the game against Washington at Nationals Park with the lead as well. Reds end up losing in 10 innings.
2 starts, 2 blown saves. And another changeup.
Well, that happens though when you're only going 5 innings or 5 innings plus, maybe 6 innings, and you allow your bullpen to handle 3 full innings of pitching, you're not going to nail down a lot of wins. And fewer pitchers are going deeper into the games. That's why the win is not as good a measuring stick for starting pitching now as it used to be, say, a generation or 2 ago.
Arenado and Reynolds both struck out. Castillo now at 2-2 to Gonzalez. To Jeanette. There's his first up and down inning of this game. It comes in the bottom of the 5th. Rockies go in order in the home 5th inning. Proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive, character-building sports experience. Visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. Through 5, 3-1 in favor of Colorado. Hey, Fox Sports and the Reds would like to send out a very special happy birthday wish tonight to Helen Sylvan. Helen Sylvan living out in Monroe, celebrating today her 96th birthday. Helen Sylvan, number 96. Marion Bauer from Scotland turned 68 today. Marion became a Reds fan through her husband Mike, we understand, and they watch every Reds game from across the pond, as it were. Mike and Marion married 45 years this fall. Big Reds fans over in Scotland, so happy anniversary to them this fall. Happy birthday to Marion and happy birthday to Helen Sylvan, 96 years old today. How about that prodigious blast by Scooter Gennett? His 13th of the year. The Reds get back within run. A run at 3-2 as Scooter Gennett hits an upper deck shot here, a second deck shot. Smiling as he comes around the bases.
Well, Scooter's got 2 of the 3 Reds hits so far on the evening. And it was interesting because early in the ball game, when he got his first hit, they were pitching him down and away and down and away. And maybe in this at bat, it looked like they wanted to get the ball up a little bit. That's a changeup, 86 miles an hour, and Gennett is all over it.
And look where that baby landed. Halfway into the second deck above the Rockies bullpen in right center. Started to say earlier how big this ballpark is as compared to others. It's 347 down the left field line, 350 down the right field line. That's easily 20 or so feet longer than most ballparks. Left center 390. Straightaway center there is 415 and 375 to right center, but the wall much taller out there.
Well, when Gennett went out and touched second base, he was the first Reds player to get the second base since the very first batter of this ball game.
Hoffman has done a very nice job. Gennett, 13th homers. He's now 1 shy of equaling his career high, which he hit last year when he pounded out 14 of them. Votto drove in that run in the first. He got into this ball deep into center field, and that ball will go. Home run. Votto back to back with Gennett to tie this game at 3 here in the 6th. 24 for Votto.
Boy, did that ever sound good coming off the bat. I mean, Votto hit this a mile high, literally. And the center fielder Blackman went back, cruising like he might catch it up against the wall like he did Votto's sacrifice fly in the first.
Now Steve Foster, the pitching coach of the Rockies, has gone out to the mound as Charlie Blackman in vain went back. Whew. And let's congratulate Joey Votto now. That base hit, his 1,500th hit, making him only the 10th player franchise history to hit 1,500. There you see the home runs prior to the All-Star break. This is the most he's ever had in his career at 24. And again, he becomes now the 10th player in franchise history to amass 1,500 hits. Turns out to be a home run ball.
You know, it's the second time in this game that Votto has swung at a 3-0 pitch. His last time up, he grounded out weakly to the second baseman on a Jeff Hoffman 3-0 pitch. This time he launches.
Only the second time that the Reds have gone back-to-back this year. They did it up in Toronto, and Votto was part of that also. Cozart first, Votto second. Today, it's Jeanette first, Votto second. Evens this game at 3. Talking about Votto now in 1,500 hits. Fewest at bats to reach 1,500 hits. Reds history. Votto second only to Ed Roush. Quicker than Pete. Three strikeouts now for Hoffman. 2 of them have been Duvall. That's the first out here in the 6th. Suarez drew a walk his last time. Rounded out in the 1st. Story. And nice dig out of the dirt there by Reynolds to retire Suarez, 6-3. So 2 out for Schebler. Jeff Hoffman trying to work through the 6th inning. We mentioned he went 6 2/3 his last time out. He's had a couple of 7-inning starts. Both of them have been on the road. In fact, he's gone 7 twice, 6 2/3 once, 6 1/3 once, and all of those starts have been away from Coors Field. His longest here has been 5 1/3. So he has surpassed that now tonight, having gone 5 2/3 as he works on Schebler. Shallow right, and LeMahieu will make the play to retire the side. But back-to-back home runs for only the 2nd time this year for the Reds. First, this second deck shot by Jeanette, number 13. And then Votto, his 24th and his 1,500th Reds hit. And we're even at 3. So the summer, the action begins with the T-Mobile Home Run Derby coming up on ESPN. That's July the 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Then catch baseball's biggest stars at the 88th Major League Baseball All-Star Game presented by MasterCard. That comes up on July the 11th on Fox. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern. Home Run Derby Monday, All-Star Game Tuesday of next week. Back to work, Luis Castillo. New game now, 3-3. .370 Rockies, .340 Reds. 4 hits, 2 of them by Jeanette. 1 by Peraza, 1 by Votto. Back-to-back home runs by Jeanette and Votto in the top of this inning. How about the Reds in this ballpark? Besides the teams within the West that come in here and play Colorado, the Reds have hit more home runs here at Coors Field, now 141, than any other team other than a Western Division team. This ballpark opened in 1995. Drew Storen up and throwing in the Reds bullpen.
Yeah, the only reason you would think about taking Castillo out of the ball game right now is all about pitch count. Teams are just so reluctant, especially with young pitchers, to go much over that 100 mark. I'd love to have a full inning out of him here, and hopefully that'll happen. But he is just a remarkable young pitcher.
One of those that we were impressed with him in that first game, knowing it was his first start, particularly, Chris, since he had skipped AAA. Better as last time and even better today.
I mean, this kind of clean delivery and the flames that he is throwing, I mean, up around 100 miles an hour. I mean, we showed you what he averages, which is second fastest in baseball, at least in the National League. But he doesn't look like he's throwing that hard. I mean, just look at the effort that he puts in his delivery.
Down the right field line and off the bat of Tapia, and what a day this young man has had.
That's a shame right there. Tapia has been right in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff here tonight. This young man went from AA to AAA to the major leagues last year. He's had 8 starts in the last 9 games, 9 out of 10 actually, and while Carlos Gonzalez was sidelined, he was the go-to man, and he has found a way to stay in the lineup.
They put Ian Desmond on the DL today with Gonzalez being activated, so he simply shifted positions, taking over and left.
23 years old.
Mentioned earlier, he's been up and down between Albuquerque and here 3 times this year, and now he has a double, a triple, and a home run in this game, so he's the easiest of the 4 hits away from hitting for the cycle.
One of your favorite things ever.
It is? I mean, it is. There's the Reds pen. Drew Storen on your left. Tony Cingrani joins him on the right. Votto going to handle this in foul territory to retire Story. For out number 1. That was the 100th pitch of the game by Castillo. And he's due up 3rd in the 7th, so this is definitely it for him. It's just a matter of if he gets through this inning or he'll need some help. And he has 8 and 9 now. Tony Walters and then the pitcher Hoffman. Rockies bullpen quiet. Walters is Fly to shallow left, and that diving catch by Duvall struck out. 4-3 now, Rockies in the bottom of the 6th. Jeanette will throw out Walters, so 2 men out. And here comes the pitcher Hoffman to bat for himself, knowing he will take the mound in the 7th with at least a 1-run 4-3 lead thanks to the Raimel Tapia home run, only his 2nd of the year. Ball and a strike. Reds will have Kivlahan, Barnhart, and then the pitcher spot in the 7th. Rockies have scored single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now here in the 6th against Castillo. He's now equaled his longest big league outing at 5 2/3. Another one of those pitches that you were talking about that are just barely out of the strike zone. Two and two. Lefty Charlie Blackmon on deck, so if he loses Hoffman here, we probably will see Cingrani come on and work against Blackmon. And a base hit on a 3-2 fastball right over the heart of the plate. Jeff Hoffman hits it up the middle. He came into this game career-wise 1 for 25. He's 2 for 3 today, and Castillo at 111 has thrown his last pitch of this game. Brian Price out of the dugout. He signaled to Tony Cingrani to enter this game. Here's Tony. He'll come on. He's pitched very well since coming off the disabled list. He'll be asked to come on here and get the final out of the bottom of the 6th inning. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Castillo out. Cingrani in. 111 pitches through 5 2/3. He gives up 4 runs, 9 hits, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Your overall impression?
He's the best pitching prospect I've seen the Reds bring up in quite a while. I've seen him pitch now 3 times, and he'll have numbers. His line scores will get better, way better than that, once he starts being more efficient with his pitches and gets big league pitching figured out. But boy, does he ever have the tools.
He leaves and Tony Cingrani comes on.
I mean, if you're Dick Williams right now, you got to be thinking, sitting back on the couch at home, the deal that he made with the Marlins right there, one of the first deals he ever made since being named the general manager. It's going to be hard to outdo that one. And how about Cingrani? Doesn't even throw a pitch.
Picks off the pitcher Hoffman at first base without the benefit of a pitch. And the inning comes to an end. Well, that's one of his specialties, and he showed it off right there. We'll take a look at it as we go to break. This ends the inning.
Time to go inside the mind. We asked the players, what's your favorite baseball movie of all time?
Sandlot, maybe. The Natural, Major League. I don't know. There's so many of them. Bull Durham. I like all those.
Yeah, Bull Durham's probably my favorite baseball movie. It's pretty awesome.
All the major leagues are my favorite baseball movies, and it's just something that I grew up on.
For the love of the game, I like it.
Sandlot. Whoever doesn't say the Sandlot, there's an issue there.
There's an issue if you don't say Sandlot. So I ask you in the booth, Jim Kelch, Chris Welsh, what are your favorite baseball movies?
Well, I like Major League. I really like that. I thought it was very, very fun. Bull Durham, I really like that one. I don't know. What other ones do you like?
I like Bad News Bears.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of Walter Matthau on that one. I may watch that
Reminds
tonight.
you of yourself.
Few of the same traits.
Story throws out Kibland with another save on the receiving end by Reynolds.
Well, Story giving Mark Reynolds a chance to look really good out there tonight.
Wow.
Story comes running across the infield for the second consecutive time. Throws on the run. Plenty of time, just not enough juice to get it there.
Same kind of throw he made with Suarez ground ball, and Reynolds saved him twice now. Barnhart hit the ball hard as last time, lined it right at Blackman in center. Reds have Zach Cozart, the starting shortstop for the National League All-Star team, on deck.
It just goes to show you how pitch efficiency is one of the important things a starter must figure out nowadays, that they didn't have to do that 20 or 30 years ago. You know, the only reason Hoffman is back out there now instead of having a new pitcher the way that Luis Castillo has is because he's thrown about 30 pitches fewer over the same number of innings than did Castillo.
Rockies do have action in their bullpen. It's got Oberg, a right-hander throwing, as is
McGee.
Yeah, Jake McGee. Strike 3 call. Barnhart thought maybe it was a ball. Called out by Todd Tishner for the second out of the inning.
Dave, kind of an interesting matchup tonight when you had Castillo against Hoffman tonight. Both of these very high prospects in the organization coming into this year. Of course, Castillo came from elsewhere, and so did Hoffman. Neither of them were drafted or originally signed by their teams that they're playing for right now. Both 24 years old. Both will turn 25 during the winter. Castillo's about a month younger than is Jeff Hoffman, but boy, they're both good-looking pitchers.
So here now is Cozart batting as a pinch hitter with 2 out and nobody on. He's made a couple of starts since being activated from the disabled list, the second of which was yesterday when he went 1 for 4. He comes into the game hitting .322. Nine home runs, 33 runs batted in. Votto came into the league 6th in hitting. Cozart came in 4th. Buster Posey 1, Ryan Zimmerman 2, Daniel Murphy 3, and then Cozart. Again, Cozart figures to be in the lineup tomorrow and Wednesday, and then probably not Thursday. Then he'll play the 2 games, I believe, in Arizona, or maybe 1 in Arizona. And he and Votto, and hey, you know what? We haven't congratulated publicly yet either. Steve Bauman, the Reds trainer, is going to be part of the training staff for the National League All-Star team. Quite an honor. We found that out last night. Everybody loves Steve Bauman. Steve-O, as he's called. There he is. Head trainer of the Reds. He'll be a trainer for the National League All-Star team. Arenado with a nice play and a 360. And a 1-2-3 7th turned in by Jeff Hoffman. Game summary. This is the pitcher, Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman getting the base hit that scored Tapia to tie the game at 1. That was in the bottom of the second. Here's Charlie Blackmon, solo shot in the 4th inning, number 18 for him. That made it 3-1 Colorado, but the Reds came charging back. How about back-to-back homers? Scooter Gennett for Scooter is 13th. Second deck shot, Votto, high rainbow blast to center field. 24 for Joey. 1,500 hits now for him in his Reds career. And then this one by Tapia, only his 2nd home run, gave the Rockies the lead again at 4-3 and puts him within a single now of hitting for the cycle. It's a Honda game summary on a beautiful shot of the sunset here in Denver. The Rockies up 4-3, stretch time here at Coors Field. And a new pitcher to the game is the right-hander Drew Storen.
Well, Tony Cingrani did come into the game and gets credited for 1/3 of an inning, but he did not throw a pitch. He threw over to first base and picked off the pitcher who was oblivious of Tony Cingrani's exceptional pickoff move. So now Storen will come in. He faces the top of the order. Storen does 1, 2, and 3. Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Arenado. And they have done a lot of the damage other than Raimel Tapia. It's been the top 3 in this order that have done the damage to the Reds tonight.
To the tune of 4 hits in 8 at-bats plus a walk, the top 3 for Colorado. Blackmon, who had his home run in the 4th that gave the Rockies a 3-1 lead, will lead things off. Storen worked an inning scoreless on Saturday in the game against Chicago in that 5-3 Reds win. So Castillo 4 runs, 9 hits, and 5 2/3. Cingrani, as Chris just talked about, without the benefit of a pitch, gets an out on a pickoff. Now Storen. Blackmon a pair of strikeouts and then that solo home run. All-star for the 2nd time in his career. Back to 4 All-Stars marks a franchise best for Colorado. They have the 3 that are at the top of the order, and you'll see right here in this inning, Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Arenado, and then Holland, who leads the major leagues with 26 saves. Greg Holland as their 4th All-Star. And there'll be an addition. There'll be additions and subtractions, not just the last vote player, but others who either pitchers who are going to pitch on Sunday and thus will be replaced, others who may be hurt. A 4-pitch walk issued to Blackmon to start the 7th.
Well, the Reds have only walked 1 batter in this ball game. Of course, it was all Castillo for the first 5. Make it the first 5 2/3. He walked Arenado in the 1st inning. One of the things that pitching coaches and observers of the game will tell you about this ballpark more than anything else. 3 passes come back to haunt.
Well, 5 pitches all out of the strike zone by Storen. He showed bunt. LeMahieu has 2 hits, both to right field in this game. His All-Star appearance also his 2nd. There's the first strike thrown by Drew. He's at 2 balls and 1 strike. Blackman leads away at first. He has 5 stolen bases this year. Not that the Rockies are a running team. They are near the bottom of the league in that department. There he goes. He got a great jump, and he's going to get the steal. Terrific jump by Blackman. Beautiful throw by Barnhart, but simply didn't have the time to get the runner. Look at this jump.
Well, a big lead and a good jump. Even a good pop time by the catcher is not going to overcome that. That's only 6 on the year for Charlie Blackman. He has had as many as 43 a couple of years ago. That's the one part of his game they're hoping returns.
Well, you got that lumberjack look out there by Charlie Blackman. You could throw Justin Turner of the Dodgers in there. You can throw Jason Worth of the Nationals in there. All of that same kind of look.
It looked like they should all be camped out down there near Camp Dennison. If you know your Civil War history, you know exactly where that is, Jim Kelch.
They all would fit. Bounces away from Scooter, and that's going to move everybody up. That handcuffed him out at second.
I'll tell you, LeMahieu has hit the ball so hard to right field. I mean, he's a big guy, but his swing, you're going to give him a hit all the way on this. But, I mean, he is just thinking about using that right side all the time. Of course, he's trying to get that runner over to third anyway. And he also gets himself to first.
That'll go down as a hit for LeMahieu. He's 3 for 4. Now it's Arenado. That guy on top of Scooter very quickly. Arenado will walk and a hit and a strikeout tonight. Rockies up a run, 4-3, trying to add to that here in the bottom of the 7th. On the run, Schebler. He's going to get to this ball. Runner from third will tag. That's Blackman. And the Rockies add a run, and now up by a pair at 5-3 on a sac fly by Arenado, giving him his 63rd run batted in. Votto chasing that ball, but not going to get it. Blackman walked, stole second, moved up on the infield hit, scored on the sac fly. 5-3 Rockies here in the bottom of the 7th. Caught Todd Tishner in a delicate spot. See, Tucker Barnhart went out to the mound to give him a little time to recover there. And there's Steve Bauman. I was mentioning him earlier, the trainer of the Reds. We had to break away from him very quickly. He's the trainer. He'll be part of the training staff for the National League All-Star team in his 2nd full year as the head trainer of the Reds and his 13th year with the team. Those guys are unheralded, to be certain. He and Tomas Vera, Jimmy Maddox are the trainers. Sean Marone, the strength and conditioning coach of this team. Those guys work behind the scenes. Nobody knows who they are, but they work more hours than anybody.
You know, it's interesting. Unless you travel with the club, played, broadcasted, or just been very in the kind of the inner circle, you don't realize the relationship between players and trainers. I mean, they are best buddies because these trainers are oftentimes responsible for either getting them on the field or getting them back, you know, off the disabled list or keeping them from getting on the disabled list.
Well, they're the very first ones at the ballpark every day.
No doubt about that.
Last ones to leave. We're very thrilled for the group that we have here, and particularly for the acknowledgement of Steve Bauman being a member of the All-Star training staff down in Miami. Gonzalez now the runner at first. 2 men out. Rockies have had action in their bullpen. And the lefty McGee, the right-hander Oberg throwing earlier. They will take at least a 2-run lead into the 8th. A couple of all-stars together over there, LeMahieu and Votto at first base. Down the left field line, that ball slicing foul. Well, tomorrow night here, second game of this series, it'll be Homer Bailey making his 3rd start since his return. Kyle Freeland, fine-looking young rookie left-hander who worked against the Reds, did a nice job in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark against the Reds, will be starting for the Rockies. And Scott Feldman against John Gray on Wednesday night. And as we mentioned earlier, Sal Romano has been announced today to start the afternoon wrap-up here on Thursday. Going to stay up, and Duvall makes the catch. Boy, oh boy, did Gonzalez hit that ball hard. Duvall right in the way of it. Thank you, Pick. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, it is beautiful out here tonight. They've announced the sellout, 49,131, the 7th sellout of the year. Big crowd enjoying what is right now a 2-run, 5-3 Rockies lead. And this big crowd to see a new pitcher come into the game. A left-hander, Jake McGee, takes over.
Yeah, the big hard-throwing left-hander comes into this ball game with a couple of runs to protect. 5-3 game. McGee came over from the Tampa Bay Rays a couple of years ago. He's a big guy. He goes about 240 pounds, McGee does. Measure him at 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Often a pretty efficient night. You mentioned it earlier. He throws only 90 pitches in 7 innings.
That's what it takes to be able to get in through the 7th inning nowadays. With pitch counts hovering over pitchers' heads like dark clouds, you got to be good and do it in few pitches. McGee was traded over here for a player from Tampa Bay that we saw not too long ago and had a pretty good series against the Reds, in Corey Dickerson.
In fact, he's an all-star.
That happened in January of 2016. He's got good numbers this year, and just if you look at the number of strikeouts per innings pitched, he's got more strikeouts in innings pitched. He doesn't walk very many, only 9 batters in 34 innings, and does not give much in the way of hits as well. So you might say he's got a good whip.
I love whip.
A lot of people who follow the game, and they kind of wish that whip was one of those statistics that would be as common as, say, earned run average. Because when you talk about an earned run average, for a guy like McGee, that has not pitched many innings, 34 innings overall, an earned run average can get skewed by 1 or 2 really bad outings. Whip is walks and hits divided by innings pitched.
Peraza breaks another bat, and Arenado will throw him out. And that's the way the top of the 8th gets going. Looking for a fun night out on a Friday night? How about Great American Date Night, presented by DateNightCincinnati.com. Enjoy this exclusive night out that includes Reds baseball, private batting practice viewing, upscale food, and more. Plus, post-game fireworks show and a concert featuring Florida. For tickets, visit Reds.com/date night. That's going to get through, and that's a 3rd hit now tonight for Scooter Gennett. And the Reds will bring in the person of Votto, the tying run to the plate now here in the 8th inning. Scooter now has hit in 10 of his last 11 games. This continues to play very well. Here's Votto. Driven in 2 tonight, is up that RBI total to 61. Lefty-lefty matchup here. Votto hitting over 300 against left-handers. In fact, his split is just about exact. 317 against righties, 319 against lefties.
Well, McGee really doesn't try to trick him. And he does not give up a lower batting average versus lefties. In fact, lefties hit a little bit better against him than do right-handers. One thing that's kind of curious, he's not really a left-handed specialist, but if you see where he stands on the pitcher's mound, he's way over there by the 3rd base side. That doesn't give a lefty a lot of angle to worry about. At least not with the breaking ball.
Now he's at 2-1. Look at those numbers against left-handers. LeMahieu, Story, Reynolds. Well, the last time Votto hit home run number 24, this time he bounces into the 4-6-3 double play. here in South Beach. Baseball's biggest stars take the field for the MLB All-Star Game that's coming up on Tuesday, July the 11th, only on Fox. There'll be players, of course, on both these teams involved. Votto and Rosart on the red side. Raimel Tapia will lead it off in the bottom of the 8th, and all he's done tonight is have 3 big hits. A triple there, that was his first time up in the 2nd. A double in the 3rd down the left field line that bounced into the stands. And then the home run in inning number 6, his 2nd of the year. So he has a double, a triple, a home run. He's up there now looking for the cycle. Nolan Arenado has done it this year for Colorado. Trey Turner of the Nationals, Will Myers of the Padres have done it against the Rockies. You can see along with Fenway, this ballpark has given up more cycles than any other. 17 of them. Down 2 strikes. Blake Wood, by the way, the new Reds pitcher. Wood worked yesterday, gave up a run, 2 hits in 1 inning. And he strikes out. So on 3 pitches, Raimel Tapia's opportunity for the cycle goes by the wayside. Still, he gets a nice hand from this sellout crowd. Here's Trevor Story, who's 0 for 3. Greg Holland up and throwing now in the Rockies bullpen. Boy, look how close Tony Walters, the on-deck hitter, is to the plate. We got the man at the plate now, Story. Look how close he is. I mean, he's on the grass in front of the warning track area.
Yeah, and this batting circle is somewhere way down here in the bottom. I mean, I can't even draw it on the screen because it's so far removed.
I'm surprised he's able and allowed to stay that close.
Yeah. Well, until somebody complains, the umpires have no motivation to make the change. Now he's going to get a lot closer.
Third walk given up by Reds pitching. First by Wood.
Yeah, and the last walk scored. That was a leadoff walk in the 7th inning by Drew Storen.
Alexi Amarista now has emerged from the Rockies dugout. He's on deck. He'll bat for McGee, given the opportunity. Now Wood misses way inside. Thrown over there twice, trying to keep the runner Story close. But both throws have been head high to Votto. Story inching away over there, and he's taking off. And this one into center for Schebler will be the second out. Story will need to retreat, and now Amarista will bat with a runner aboard and 2 out. Amarista was the man who was playing shortstop when the Rockies were in Cincinnati in mid-May when Story was on the disabled list. He comes off the bench to bat here with a runner aboard and 2 men out. He's hitting .268. 6 for 21 as a pinch hitter with a pinch hit home run. They have a big fireworks show after the game here tonight. I imagine they'll have another one tomorrow night.
I might have to go hide under the bed.
You always have been scared of loud noises. Now this is the perfect holiday weekend though. You got a generous boss and he says, you know, take Monday also. You got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, a 4-day weekend. That's pretty rare.
Who wants a 4-day weekend? Why don't you just have a 5-day?
Schebler will make the catch of this ball, sending this game now to the 9th inning here at Coors. Duvall will lead things off against Greg Holland. On the Reds when they take on Bryce Harper and the Nationals for as low as $12. For tickets, visit Reds.com. That's that first series after the All-Star break, 14-15, 16-17. Friday through Monday at Great American Ballpark. National League East leaders Nationals will be in town with former Red skipper Dusty Baker. A couple of changes for the Rockies. Alexi Amarista stays in the game after pinch hitting. He's now at second base, and the new pitcher into the game is the Major League's save leader, Greg Holland.
Well, he was a very fine closer for the Kansas City Royals for many years. In fact, he closed 47 games and then 46 games back-to-back years for Kansas City, 2013 and 14. They let him walk as a free agent after the 2015 year, and he signed a contract this year with the one-year deal, I believe, with the Rockies now, and he's getting his mojo back. 26 of 27 and save opportunities.
And he has an option to come back next year should he desire.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to just make one little comment about a man that we lost in baseball named David Vincent. He was a long-time Sabre member. He was probably the foremost historian of home runs in the history of baseball. In fact, he earned the nickname Sultan of SWAT Stats. He passed away recently from stomach cancer, and he used to work with us. We would go up to Washington, D.C. and work the Nationals games. He would come up and visit us in the media dining room, and he'd come up actually work in the booth with us, and we'll miss David very, very much. If you've been involved in SABRE, which is the Society of American Baseball Research, you certainly have heard of if you have not met David Vincent over the years, and we just want to pass along our condolences to his family, and really his family includes all SABRE members.
Well, Holland gets the leadoff man here in the ninth inning. Duvall rung up, fans for the third time.
I think it was caught in an odd way, and that's why probably Duvall felt that maybe it wasn't a strike. It looked like it was some kind of a cutter or something that started off and just came back and got the plate.
Now it's Suarez with the Reds down a pair at 5-3. Holland is a three-time All-Star now, having been picked to play in this year's game, twice with Kansas City. Chris mentioned his big years over there. He has that one blown save this year. That was back on June the 15th here against the Giants. He ended up getting the win when the Rockies came back to get the victory in that game. Craig Kimbrell of Boston, second in the big leagues at 23. He was 23 for 23 until that blown save, and he's converted 3 in a row since then. "31 years old, out of Marion, North Carolina. He went to Western Carolina University in Cullowhee, North Carolina. We had a starter tonight. Jeff Hoffman went to East Carolina University.
Those are the Catamounts, aren't they, in Western?
Yeah. And the Pirates down in ECU.
You know, as far as raw stuff goes, Holland doesn't have what he once did. He used to average about 96 miles an hour on that fastball. But he was always the guy that relied heavily on that slider. He threw it nearly 45% of the time. He still does that. But it's all about getting the job done. There's the slider.
Well, they disposed of Duvall looking. It gets Suarez swinging. here is Schebler. Oh for 3 tonight. Amarista in the outfield grass, and he'll make the play. And Holland has a 1-2-3 ninth, and the Rockies take the first game of this series by a final of 5-3. Hoffman gets his 5th win in six decisions, and the save goes to Greg Holland, number 27. Rockies 5, and the Reds 3, the final score. We'll be back with more in a moment.